Today's lesson is how to capture a field as input from a text file and display it on the GUI screen. We're going to go ahead and start. I'm left-clicking on default package. That's where I want my new class to go. This is called Create New Visual Classes. I'm left-clicking on that. I'm going to go to the swing, and then I'm going to left-click on Frame, and I'm going to call this Lesson2, and I'm going to say Finish. And that creates our general setup as we have done previously. Since we're doing GUI, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the design, and I'm going to say on layout, I want to use absolute, and I'm going to go ahead and left click. I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to make the screen just a little bit bigger. The next thing I'm going to do is text. I'm going to go up here and say, put my left click on Jtext, and then I'm going to left click, put it here, and I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger for seeing purposes, since it's the only thing on the screen. Of course, I'm going to go back over here to font. I'm going to make font a total of 26. And leading, I'm going to go ahead and center this text. Also, I'm going to come back to this, and right here where it's showing up, I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to go say, add an event handler, an action perform. And right here, as you can see, it has added these lines of code saying basically when enter is hit, it's going to perform whatever in this bracket below, and we'll come back to that in a second. Back to the design center, I want to add the label, and this is where we're going to put the field once we enter something. And we're going to go ahead and increase the size of that. And I'm also going to remove new label because I don't want any label on it. I'm going to go up to the font for this, and I'm going to say I want the font also to be 26, and say OK. And the leading, I'm going to go ahead and center that. So then, now that I've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to the source, and under where we're going to do the action perform, I'm going to grab some code that I already wrote, and I'll explain to you what it does. Once we hit enter, I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see, we have an error because the new label is actually defined below where it's being used. I'm going to go ahead and move that up here, which gives me my J label, which removes all the errors. And what's going to happen here is when you hit enter, it's going to use an integer count field that's equal to the total length of the field that you just entered. This is kind of a working storage field for COBOL people. There's an if condition that says if my integer, the number length, is greater than 0, then it's something we want to capture. And it says let's unstring what we entered. So we're unstringing from the text box, and we're putting it into text. Now our label needs the description, so we're going to set the label name to whatever we entered in the text. And then we're going to go ahead and go through the process of this displaying the screen again. If I've done this right, when I enter something into the text and hit enter, it should display what I entered into the label box. So let's go and do a run on it. And there's the box. Move it over here. I'm going to call this blue, and I'm going to hit enter, and it says blue right below it. Now if I come back around and I say test and enter, so it seems to be working as it was meant to do. I'm going to close this, and the next thing you want to do to get used to doing this, just some practice, is you want to go left-click File and go to Export, and then you want to left-click on Export, Runnable Jar. You want to go Next. This is Lesson 1. You can pick it from the category. Lesson 1 is what I'm picking. I'm going to put it under Lesson 2 jar, and I'm going to go ahead and I've already done it, so I'm not going to, normally you hit finish, but I already have it there, so I'm not going to bother. And you would save it to wherever you want. I happen to be put on my desktop, but you can put any file you want. I'm going to go ahead and close that, close down my screens, and as you can see, I have the file right here that would be generated, and I would go ahead and left click it twice, and I type, and boom, it's working. So anyways, I hope this comes in handy, that you guys can use it for the time being. I'll talk to you on the next lesson. Have a good week.